Welcome to the East Bridgewater School Committee meeting of September 10th, 2019. At this time, I would take a motion to open the meeting. Moved by Teresa.
Second.
Second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a treat this evening. I would like to introduce the Director of Music, Mr. Ray Ponte, and also the Director of Marching Band, Mr. Dan Hatchfield, along with the marching band. And they're showing off their beautiful new uniforms.
Being nice, they're doing it quiet for you.
Dan, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
I don't think they had enough space.
Thank you, Mr.
Hi, Mr.
Ponte, that was
Thank
great.
you.
Uniforms look great.
Thanks for letting us come in, thanks for the expenditure of the uniforms, it's about a 15-year deal.
Wow.
I tell you, they were smiling, grinning from ear to ear Friday night for the first game, couldn't wait to get out there and play.
Great.
As you can see, they take a lot of pride in what they're doing. Mr. Hatchfield's cultivated that over the years. This is his 4th year with the marching band now, and we're seeing a lot of growth and a lot of potential with that group. And so we're thrilled.
Well, they
Yeah, they
look and
sound
sound
great.
great.
They did great.
Ray, before you leave, tomorrow, obviously, is September 11th. We will be in part of the remembrance here throughout the district. All the principals are here this evening. And at each of their buildings, they will have a moment of silence for a moment, and each of them will have something to say in regards to 9/11. We have also been asked to go up. Dr. Williams will be representing the district up at Town Hall with the flags, with the fire chief, Chief Herron, Chief Allen, the new town administrator, Mr. Ponte, will be bringing up the choir with Miss Mancini Pavla, and along with a couple of the guys going to play trumpet.
Yep, we got a couple of trumpet players
taps.
play echo taps, and about 14 members of the chorus that are going to come up and sing the national anthem.
So I want to thank Mr. Sylvia for arranging that, for letting the kids get out, helping Mr. Ponte work that together, and thank you for going up. It is nice to have our kids represent the district in such a memorable moment.
Again, they take a lot of pride in it. When we go for Memorial Day and we perform out there, or we're out there for Veterans Day Parade, or Christmas on the Common Parade, I mean, they take a lot of pride in that. It means a lot to them to be out there, so we're glad for those opportunities.
Great.
What
Thanks.
time is the
9:30
event?
tomorrow, is it?
8:45.
Oh, 8:45.
8:45.
At the town hall?
You know what, the new flag is to the left. It's in between Central School. It's sort of
It's more in front of the
police station.
Yeah, the
To the
9/11.
corner.
The
There's that
monument.
piece of steel that was from one of the towers.
Yep.
Is located, and I can't remember the name, but a flagpole.
Miller, right? Was it Miller?
Greg Miller.
Miller.
Craig Miller, the flagpole has been, was donated, and with a new flag, and Chief Herron, Chief Allen,
Right? Try to be there. Thanks.
Great. Have a good night.
thanks, Ray.
Yep.
It was great.
Thanks, Ray.
Is anyone here for public comment section? No? I didn't- We were, but I wanted to vote on that. Are you here for public comment section? Sure. Just come up to the microphone and just state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Robin Aylward, 447 Central Street. I'm just here this evening to bring to administration's attention the need for a look into the failing Chromebook policies and procedures that we have at the school. I've dealt with issues myself all last year and the beginning of this year, to the point where it's really hurting our children's education and their ability to learn in the classrooms. I know it's on the agenda this evening, and I've spoken in depth with Trista Higgins about my questions and issues and problems, and given her lots of examples from other parents as well. But I just wanted to come and represent the parent core that has some issues and would like to see that it be addressed. And my only other thing with that is the communication part of it. I'd like to see a little bit more on the communication side. Other than having conversations with Trista, I had mentioned some concerns after the email went out to the district, expressing what was being done about broken Chromebooks and children without Chromebooks and things like that, and I had not received a response back yet, and that was the beginning of school. So I know that the issue is being looked at, and the answers to my questions might not have been readily available, but it would be nice to just get a email back confirming receipt and acknowledgement of, you know, looking into the issues and everything. So I think communication needs to be improved a little bit.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Superintendent's Corner.
On September 14th, we have the Business Expo here at the Town Common from 10 to 2 p.m. It's a great opportunity for, you can go out and meet all the business, and we'll also, we usually, the last couple of years, 2 years ago, we had a table. We gave out some things. This year, we'll have a table, and it's the Saturday from 10 to 2. ClearGov update, I just wanted to, we work with ClearGov, which is a webpage that helps us put up what we're doing. Some of our boiler project is on there, our per pupil expenditure is on there, how much we're spending on students, what we're spending our money on. But what I wanted to show you is that Anna, our representative from ClearGov, had called back or sent me an email and said that she just wanted to share some news with us that we've received 3,826 page views from almost 900 users, meaning that we're using it, we're putting up pictures of the boiler project and keeping us a timeline so that people can keep up to date with what's happening in the district. We try to upload as much as we can in a timely fashion, and people are starting to, our community, our parents are starting to look at it, which is nice, because then you get a snapshot, a snap view of what's happening in the district. So I just thought that you might want to see that. I had a meeting today. I met the new town administrator, Brian Noble. He's actually in the building right now. He's at a meeting over here at the EBCAM, at a board directors meeting. So he wasn't going to be here tonight for this meeting, but I have invited him to meet everybody and come to one of our school committee meetings. I think it's important that we may have one school district in a town, but we're all one. I think he has the same vision for that, and we had a nice conversation. He actually toured all of our buildings, went through junior, senior high school. We then went over to Mitchell School, and then we went to the Central School. Each principal walked us around. Mr. Sylvia did not walk us around, but Mr. Hortensi did. I want to thank Mr. Hortensi because he wanted to see our energy-efficient building. Doug really knows the building very well. We went into the boiler rooms. We got to go and see a lot of the things that our HVAC systems, our computer systems and things like that go on inside the building. We had some nice conversation. You got to see Central School. We talked about the boiler project, why we were there. We know that we've gotten into the queue for the MSBA for next year for the new roof. We'll be going out for a capital project and asking the town to secure that for us as we move forward throughout the year. We talked to him about that, and then we also talked to him about the needs probably most likely in our third year of the MSBA projects, and what we have for facilities is probably the windows at Central School. And he was great looking at the building, saying he could see that we need to update those buildings. Went to the Mitchell School. We walked around there. Buildings look great, by the way. The custodians, the maintenance looks terrific. We showed him the boiler system at the Mitchell School. We've talked about this for the last couple of years, how we'd like to take one of the boilers offline and hook it up to the other side of the building, so we have one energy-efficient boiler working for both sides of the building. Right now, Billy took us around today. We use 350 gallons of oil per day during the wintertime, because
Which building, I'm sorry?
this is Mitchell School. Because the boiler system is so old, he actually told us today, right, Andrew, that the boilers that we still are using and the tanks are from the original building, even with the add-on in the back. So, and it was clean, everything looked great, but we really need to look at this. That would be in the next phase in the fourth year after we get through Central School. Pretty much. We also talked about, and then when we got also at Central School, we have sort of an alcove area that abuts there's a sort of a plank, almost a bridge-like from the building out to the mods where our pre-K is. And then there's a classroom also that is in like a 90-degree angle down there. We have taken in water last year. We closed one of those rooms down. We were afraid of mold, and we didn't want the children in there. We shut that down. We thought that we had figured out the problem. We did not figure out the problem. We had water last week, and it also went over into that area again on sort of that bridge area going into the mods. we talked to him about that. So there's some things that I think it was nice to have a town administrator walk the buildings. I think it was nice to talk with the principals, to go around and talk with both of us about some of their interest areas and their things that they think that need to be looked at. We also have the room at the Mitchell School, which was the old shop room, the old woodworking area. Dr. Williams has put a lot of hours in over the summer going down to that room, and from last year, we'd like to convert that over to a before and after care room, making it much easier for parents to be able to come in the afternoon and in morning to drop off and pick up their children. Dr. Williams is looking at, has taken that job on. They have looked at the room, they're just looking at what they need to do to make that room feasible for easy access, the doors, the egresses, the bathrooms, this and that for before and after care. So we're just probably in phase one of that.
Yeah, just really looking at the work that would need to go into that, and especially at the Mitchell School, where parents need to gain access into the building first before then going into the cafeteria. We want to make sure the buildings are secure at all times, which would mean then staff members, we did do a doorbell there, but having this opportunity to have the back of the building, parents could park around the back of the building, have a secure way of entering and exiting daycare without having to go through the school building to do that. Plus, for Mrs. Verasso's sake, you know, if the area becomes big enough, Mr. Gentile was kind enough to also give us a connective classroom so that it could be a homework room for students as well, and the possibility that down the road, we could have all of our students there, so that then we could consolidate with staff, have one-stop drop-off and pick-up for parents. So that's our hope down the road. But we're in the phases of first looking at what we need to remove out of the room, and convert it back to a classroom type of space as opposed to industrial arts. So, more to come on that.
Thank you.
A lot has come up on transportation over the last few weeks. I want to thank Joanne Benner and John Shea for all the work that they do for getting the bus routes out. We try to get them out in a timely fashion. We try to get the tickets out, and if kids don't have their bus passes right away to be taken out, kids have gotten on the buses without the bus passes. But last Friday, Bill Lucini, Gail Howard, John Shea, Joanne Benner, and myself met here in Friday morning. I think we spent about 2.5 hours together. This sheet, I'd ask that at the end of this meeting, you can look at it, that you'd hand these back in. These have students' names on them, they have addresses, but they also have the reasons. These are all of our appeals that we received. I want you to look at some of them. Most, I would say we're about 96% to 97% appeal-free at this time. We have adjusted some routes. We have talked to parents and moved some things. There's a few on here that have not been adjusted. I'm making a call tomorrow. I cannot have the buses go to every person's house. I cannot go into every cul-de-sac. We've sent the police chief out, has gone out. Our SRO has gone out. The only way that we would be able to pick up all of these appeals in every stop is to raise prices on the buses and maybe possibly put aids on the buses. We've tried to keep our bus prices low. As you know, John and I renegotiated a contract that brought in a lower price with Lucini. I can tell you that Bill Lucini has worked tremendously hard with us in the district. He has been at every school for the first 5 days of school, every stop, and has been at the garage, at our parking lot, or his parking lot across the street, our garage, every day. We've had a brand new, probably, I don't know, what they, $200,000 buses, brand new. We have two brand new buses on our runs. One of them has broken down, and Bill would tell you that they would rather have the old buses with the diesel that you have to run for 30 minutes prior to going out than the brand new ones with computers and everything, talking to it. It's like a Tesla, you know? So we are doing everything we possibly can. But there are some of these that when we do get some of these updates or parent requests, it is not Mr. Shea, it is not Mrs. Benner, it is not Lucini Bus Lines, it's Liz Legault, Superintendent of Schools, that is saying no. Once it goes through the appeal process to John and Joanne, and we had them last week, I spent 2.5 hours listening to both sides of the coin. I listened to Lucini's. It's hard for some of our buses to turn around in a small cul-de-sac. I understand we have 3rd graders and 5th graders. We cannot get down those streets. They're going to have to come up. The buses are stopping. We will wait. We've had the police go out. The police are saying they're okay. We also know that kindergarten, yes, we do pull up in front as close as we can to an individual house. I overrode a couple of people on Bridge Street because we understand it's a very safe, and some people think it's a very unsafe road. People go too fast around corners, this, that. I did override Lucini on one of their two of their stops. But you have to understand that buses follow the law as much as we do, all the way. They're not supposed to stop, stop. It's dangerous for a bus at 143 Plymouth Street to pick up, start it back up, put the stop sign in, pull over to in front of Job Lot and put it back on again, or at the end of this, at Town Hall. You're stopping and starting and stopping and starting. I get that Bridge Street, that people feel that it's unsafe. I understand that. But we're stopping and starting a bus, and that's when the accidents happen. People need to be alert. There's children out there. It's school season. Watch for the red lights. Watch for the flashing red lights. We have the stop signs. We did overrule, is it Union Street, John? On 106, is it off of Union? The one that we're going to go down and up and down and
Route 106, we had students crossing Route 106 to get the bus.
I overruled Lucini on that. I get it. We don't want kids crossing on 106 even though the buses are stopping. We're not allowing any student off the buses anymore either. They don't want to go down and then have to turn around and then go down again and then have to turn around. Every student is staying on the bus until they get to their stop. What was happening before is we would stop, some high school students, I'm getting off. They would get off, go across. Then we would go down, and we turn back around, and we're coming up on the right side of the street. Now no one gets off. So now I'm going to hear on the other side where parents are going to call me and say, let my high school student off, he's 17 years old, he's got to get to Cumberland Farms or someplace to work. I get it. We can't have it both ways. I'm trying to keep it affordable. I'm trying to pick up every student. I shouldn't say me, the district is trying to keep it affordable and picking up every student. Please look at some of these. If you really think that there's something way out of character, I can't, but there's a couple on here that are really, it's just far out of our realm to say we're going to stop and pick up this student. Tim?
Does it mean if there's a GH next to it? I think that's a GH.
That's Gail Howard. That's Lucini. That's her saying those are my notes to myself. This is exactly what we used in that meeting. You have the highlights that I made, some of my little notes. I wanted you to see that it was almost a 3-hour meeting. And there are a few more that are still ongoing. We're trying. There's no student that has been left. We've had a couple people call and said, we didn't get picked up today. We picked them up the following day. We also told people that we had 24 hours to pick their son or daughter up. You can't come up here on a Monday at 3 p.m. and say pick them up Tuesday morning at 7, unless they're right there on a route. Bill Lucini, though, has been terrific. He's told his bus drivers, if you see kids out in front, because I asked him this, if you see kids out in front of a driveway, pick them up on that day and we'll get to them in 24 hours. We did miss a few kids because we didn't have enough time to tell the bus drivers. I think we're in a good place now. I think we only have a few appeals, Joanne.
We're very good. The thing that is coming up now is a lot of people filling out the sharing form that goes along with the free and reduced meals application. They are told multiple times to do it, and for whatever reason, it slips by them. So we are also adding 20-plus kids almost daily
Right
to the bus routes that Lucini Bus Line has to say, okay, I'm gonna put them there, I'm gonna put them there, and that also plays into, we cannot pick you up at your home. This paperwork came out on July 1,
And we're just getting it.
and people are just doing it now. And we're doing it, we're taking it, I'm making bus passes fast and furious for these kids.
Yep.
But,
You mean new people adding on?
yes,
So, and we understand it. Some people are concerned about filling out the free and reduced lunch. Nobody sees it. We take care of it. It stays in central office. Deb Vaughn over in, our food director, and Joel Ann Benner, there's not many people that see it. It's, we guard it with our lives. But we have to have that information in. Without it, it bogs us.
state regulated.
Right, and it's state regulated. I had a parent in the other day that came to my office and I need some help. I can't overrule the state. So, I mean, we'll do the best that we can, and we're gonna do the best that we can for some families that have come to see us, but I can't overrule the state. If the state says it's reduced, I can't say it's free. I can pick you up just as much as long as we can, but, we can try it again, in which we have done. We've resubmitted a couple of people. But fill out the forms, do your best, be truthful on them. No one's going to come to your house and say, you know, we're not going to give you lunch. That's not going to happen. So, and we've waived a few other things. Right now, I told you that we were going to waive, or looking at an overall type of payment for if a student is on band and then on athletics, or students in drama or in athletics. We do believe it's too much to have somebody pay $250, then another $150, and then another $200. John and Erica are working on that right now, because I don't want to say it's $250 if it's $300, or I don't want to say it's $250 if it's $175. I want to be accurate, and I want to be also prudent for the district, because we have a lot of kids. We have more kids ever playing sports. Our band, Ray Ponte just, whispered over there, he was like, we're even missing 9 kids this evening. So, I mean, and.
Did you know, you probably know this because you're in the school, but I thought this was super cool, so I want to share. There's a football player,
Yeah,
a senior who plays on the band too. Yeah,
he's a drummer.
is he a drummer or the xylophone? I'm not sure because he was way back on the field, but
Percussion.
that just made my whole night. I thought it was so cool.
And we have a few of those students, and we want to keep that going, and it does get pricey, and we are in public education, so we're trying. But that's it on transportation. Anybody have any questions on buses?
I just have a,
Please don't use names or.
oh, no, it's
Okay.
not even specific to this. I was looking for the total number. So 83, and how many kids take our buses, roughly?
1,960.
Yeah, so we're like 0.00 something percent. I mean, this is really, I mean, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, and,
Right.
but it's really very good. I mean,
Yeah.
the people all of you who work in the room.
John
do a really
meets
good
with
job.
Gail at Lucini before we even put the routes out, because he knows the town, he knows where there might be issues. And before this even comes out, they iron out quite a few issues.
No, I don't think I could identify 12 of those streets.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean,
Well, Gina took me out, one day we went out, Gina showed me a few of the streets that we were having issues with. Maybe 2 out of the 3, maybe 1 out of the, so many that we drove through may have been a problem. And I know that some people think my problem isn't like your problem. Like, you see it, I don't see it, you see it, I don't see it. We also drove into a cul-de-sac, and I could see a bus would have problems. I mean, once we go into one cul-de-sac, we're gonna go into all of them, and we're built on cul-de-sacs over here, and every time they go in, it's a 3-point turn. If he can't make that turn, he's gonna go back and up and back and up, back and up. So now we're gonna have to either start school later or get you on the buses earlier.
no, we're not known for our wide streets here, that's for sure.
No.
Or sidewalks.
Liz, I think this is, I don't know a school district that has a smooth start to the year with buses. I mean, it happens. And
Right.
John, I got to tell you, so we have a new business director in my district, and because she's kind of feeling her way around now, our principals kind of handled this beginning of the year stuff this year, and you can have it. That's all. You know, I don't think the public understands what goes into creating these routes and the web that is all the bus routes. And so the fact that you guys have this appeal system, and you've obviously, you know, we're in the second week of school and you're already on top of it, is kudos to all of you.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
Can
John
I
is
just
really
say
in-
one thing? The administrative assistants in every building are tremendous in their support with this. They're right on it, they email, they call, they understand our perspective, and they all deserve credit for how much hard work they put into this as well.
There are some districts that don't even allow kids who pay to ride the bus for the first 2 weeks while they figure out, like mine, that while they figure out the kids that live far enough away. And, I mean, from day one, you have all the kids.
I mean, in Bridgewater, Rainham, they have so many kids riding the bus, and it became a financial issue for the district.
They don't have to pay anymore, do they?
They only go out to 2 miles, though. You can't pay. So it's anybody who.
Right, that's what I mean, they don't
Yeah.
have that option anymore.
No, because it became, you're fighting all the time of, I can't pick you up, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it becomes a fight. And I don't want to fight with any parent. I want to pick every student up, of course we do. But we can't pick everybody up and be on time or keep the prices that we have. And we have not, as an administration, raised prices since we have been here as a board.
We reduced them.
Yes.
Yeah, we reduced
considerably. From 350 for the first student to 125.
125, right?
Yep, and it
If you
stayed
can't
that way.
resolve the parents' concern, do you refund the bus fee they paid? I mean, is that a thing?
If they don't want to ride the bus,
You
yeah.
don't want to ride the bus. I did try that. We did have a few parents that I called. I said, I'm not going to, I'm going to overrule your appeal, but I will certainly give your money back. I'll let you overrule it, please, please pick me up. So I've offered money back. Nobody wants their money back. They want the buses. And I don't blame them. It's it's safe, it's easy, it's better. Kids are on time. Our buses are really, they've been doing great. I can't say enough about this year so far, getting in and getting out, even though, and, you know, we've changed a little bit out and back here. Not letting anybody park in the back parking lots has really helped us out with pre-K. And just having the buses, we allow the buses to make that turn in there now, which has been huge. Instead of going back out and around or the high school, now they're making the turn. All the vans this year for all of our out-of-districts or in specialized services vans, they're going out and back, which makes a huge difference. Last year, we had a few vans that would still come up in front. We don't allow that anymore. Everybody who gets transported is out and back, except parents dropping off their sons or daughters.
How's that going with the parents dropping off out back?
We have, there's.
He's out there every morning, I will tell you that, and he is awesome.
We've asked the
It
principals-
moves the best.
Out
I've
here-
been doing it for 2 years, because we're not morning people in my house, so I drop off in the morning, although I beat the bus most days, I have to admit, and she takes the bus home. It's been this year is the best I've seen in the 2 years I've been doing it. It just flows, and the people are pulling up, which they weren't doing ever.
I was talking
Yep.
about out back.
Out back,
Oh.
we're not allowing it. You have the principals out here in front, greeting parents and the kids, because out there, we have the buses, so everybody stop. And we have the behavior specialists out there and one of the SROs. And we're not allowing parents to drop off as much.
So our parents. kind
They're
of
waiting.
following that.
Yeah, and they're waiting, and if they get in that middle lane, I know that Officer Cacciatore has gone out into the middle lane, and she stands there until the buses are released. The buses have to go first, because we've got to get to Mitchell School. And if the Mitchell School is late, then the Central School is late. Even Mr. Gentile will tell you that, he's changed the way that they do afternoon release, so that Central School doesn't release late, and Mitchell School gets home, because some parents work that 3 o'clock shift, nursing, and town official, firemen, policemen. He needs to get them home by that 2:45, 10 minutes to 3, so we can get that shift to parents. So principals are doing a great job. Want to thank the Chief Allen for allowing all of his police officers to be on the roads for us the first couple of weeks. We had a lot of police officers all around the district helping us to keep the speed limit down. We're also, want to thank John Haynes, Brian Kiley, and DPW. They're making signs for us to go out onto Bridge Street and some of the streets that We've had some inquiry about with no sidewalks or the speed is too much, so you're gonna be starting to see several signs coming up that, notice children are out here, please watch out for the bus, there's a bus stop, so, I think the town, everybody's working together, I know that everybody's working together, so I think we've had a smooth start from my perspective. Chromebooks are gonna come up, and I know that we're gonna address that issue tonight. John Shea's going to talk about it. We do have the IT director here, but I did promise the principals this evening that they could get up and get out pretty much on time. I want to get Mrs. Byrne up from Central School. She has been, she did a audit today in her building on facilities, and they did it, and they were there for 3 hours, from 3:15 to 6:15. I promised Mrs. Byrne,
Who was there? I'm sorry.
She did a facilities audit for electrical, and also Angela Macchia, our coordinator, they were all in there.
No, who was doing the audit?
The chief,
Was it
Brian
the-
Kiley,
Or
the
us?
electrical technician of the
Jake Bentley, the electrical inspector.
inspector for town. Angela Macchia helped as the IT director. Kate Byrne was there as the principal. We removed some extension cords from rooms that cannot be there. Kate did her own audit of seeing what's in the rooms in the elementary school. But one of the reasons, the biggest issue is the PTO and I know that Kate's going to bring this up, but we're very, very happy that they brought us ACs. It's a very, 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 very difficult building to keep cool even in the winter time, it's hot on the second floor. So we got some ACs, and, go ahead.
I was gonna say, welcome.
Yeah.
Then I was gonna say, well, is she gonna come up to?
She is going to come up.
It's gonna be.
Come on up, Kate.
tomorrow. Are
They're
the
going-
AC
They're going to go 5 minutes apiece.
Are the ACs already hooked up?
Well, we had a few that were, we already had in the building that were pre-existing. They're portable AC units. And we have a couple that have been installed of the new ones. And yes, thank you to Boosterthon. It was our Boosterthon fundraised money that we used. Every year, the Boosterthon is so generous, and the PTO, when we get that money, basically from families in the community that supports us, the PTO allocates a certain amount of money to me as the building principal to help purchase different things. So sometimes it's alternative seating, some years it's been document cameras, and I had a little bit of money that they had allocated from last year that I hadn't spent. I was looking to try to figure out the best thing to use, and it was truly the end of summer, and it was the Friday before school started, and it was 86 degrees on the top floor on a day that had only been in the 70s, and I'm thinking, maybe I should just look into this. And so we used Boosterthon funds. Liz supported it, so we got a handful of them. So we do have a couple that have been installed already, and the rest we have in their locations, but before we potentially overloaded circuits, which was the facility directors, he was just concerned about that we wanted to do our due diligence. We'll go room by room, take a look at what we have to work with, what the current existing electrical situation looks like based on, power strips and extension cords, and how are we running our IT equipment, how are we running any other devices within the building or in the classroom, and what's really meant for a teaching tool, and what are things that are luxuries that don't need to be there. So, for example, we had gone through, and there were some things I asked teachers, it's great to have a little mini fridge, some have them, but it's a luxury, you don't need it, it's not a teaching tool. So all of those were removed from classrooms. So now we can really truly assess what we truly need to learn. So we would say the ACs are very helpful and conducive, because anybody that's been in Central School on an open house on a very warm summer day or late in the school year knows that it can be really warm. So 86 degrees is not surprising. We've had times when rooms were well into the 90s, and you're trying to teach students, and teachers are trying to do their best as well. So today we did our inspection room by room. Some of the solutions were really simple. Some rooms were really in great shape to begin with, and just more talking about if we were to install the AC unit, the best place, and making sure that we have the proper type of cord, the proper gauge, the proper amps associated with that. So the fire chief was incredibly helpful, the electrical inspector as well, and they didn't hesitate. They got down on their knees, they're helping me, they're wiggling cords, they're pulling things apart. I mean, they were fantastic. I can't thank them enough. But I think we're in a good place. We definitely identified some classrooms or areas that require some additional resources if we want to think about increasing the amount of electricity that we're using, or even just the current situation for what we currently have for a specific room. For example, teacher's room came up as an area of concern. We have 3 refrigerators in that space. There are microwaves in that space, and it's shared space too with our aftercare program, so they need a refrigerator as well. There's a window AC unit that already exists, and it's really operating off of 2 outlets. So there's some things that we need to consider about, talking about more circuits being dropped in that specific location to really get that to run more efficiently and more effectively. But overall, by the classrooms, most of them are fixes that we can do easily and over time. And it's about minimizing. I think for years, teachers inherit a space and there's electrical cords and there's extension cords and they're not sure, so they don't unplug anything, they just add a new one. So we remedied a lot of that today. But so it was good to do. So we have the plan to be able to slowly install many of the AC units and with ease with the electrical cords. I'd like to thank John Shea. Thank you so much for helping purchase 9-foot extension cords specifically designed to hold AC units, air conditioners, and with the 15 amps, the AC units themselves run about 12, so we should be fine with those. And in most situations, it's a matter of relocating perhaps where the AC unit was going to be installed and the length of the cord that we need, because that came up as a concern about how much length you'd need. Well, if we rethink which window we utilize, that solved a lot of the problems as well. So yes, it was a good 3 hours. I'm glad that we did it, and hopefully we'll be able to install some more ACs tomorrow, now that we have some good remedies for a good number of the rooms.
Thanks, Kate.
As we're talking about Boosterthon and PTO, I'll just mention too, we had a wonderful open house. I'd like to thank all the families that came to the annual event and the PTO again. They arranged for Kona Ice to come, which is a nice way for families to get a special treat and gives a little bit of money back to the PTO. And they also had their PTO apparel table, trying to welcome new families and sell, our spirit wear, which we like to wear every Friday. So that was well attended, so I thank the PTO again for that. As you mentioned already, Liz, talking about, and Mrs. Benner also mentioned administrative assistants. I'll even talk about the custodians, all of them, all the behind-the-scenes work that happens all summer long to help us be open and up and ready. We just can't thank them enough. They try to make the start of school smooth, and without them, we wouldn't be. So we had a very smooth beginning. The building looks great. Students are assigned. I know Mrs. Harvey spent countless amounts of hours on the phone with Gail Howard or Joanne up to John about bus appeals and just trying to help people get on the bus as they enrolled. We have many new students. We've probably had over 20 new enrollments this summer, not counting just registering our new kindergarten. We had a lot of move-ins, a couple of friends who have withdrawn, but we've had a lot of new students to Central School. So the office is very busy. And so Mrs. Harvey and Mrs. Jenkins did an outstanding job enrolling students and keeping Mr. Shea, Mrs. Benner, and Lucini informed about all the new students and who needs busing and all of that stuff. So that's very much appreciated. Liz also mentioned, the superintendent, about the accelerated repairs project with the boiler room. So that still is underway, which I'm sure you're aware of. So right now, on a daily basis, their operation isn't impacting us at all. The only thing that we have as far as the parking lot, they definitely need some parking spaces for the storage units and their equipment, but when they're actually doing work in the boiler room, has no impact on our daily operation. So that's been good. I know the anticipated completion date is around Columbus Day, and so I don't know if there's been an update to that, but as of right now, we're pleased, and they're being kind and staying out of our way as we do our daily business. Let me see. Just went a little out of order just to follow, to go with your seamless transitions there. I'd also like to bring up that this week starts our annual first grade parent lunches. So every year around this time, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the first grade parent lunch if you had a student come through first grade. So those start this Thursday and Friday, as well as next Thursday and Friday, and it's an opportunity for our first grade students to invite 2 special guests to come and join them for lunch at Central School. So we're looking forward to meeting some more families and welcoming them in.
You get to do that.
Yes,
That's awesome.
It's awesome, and everybody's really flexible, but it does impact 4 different days. But with our new schedule this year, actually it's minimal impact to any other grade, so it works out really well. But it's a nice opportunity to connect with families.
And do the kids like get really pumped about, like, I could imagine they're,
Students are very excited, and at first grade, if they've been with us for kindergarten, they are well aware of the procedures and routines, and they get to highlight and show the way how to go through that kitchen line, get their lunch, and they've got that proud smile, and show them the way and where to go and where their seats are. So it's a great moment for our first grade friends. Yes. Do you remember that? Did you come in second?
I remember.
I came in
You
second.
came in second.
I remember.
You
As
remember
I
it
said, I
well?
missed it.
Yes.
I didn't get invited. I didn't get invited.
Oh, you weren't one of
didn't
the
make
two
the cut,
special
huh?
guests. You didn't make the cut.
Oh,
Mom and
gonna be
Grandma must
very
have gone.
yeah, well.
Well, maybe next time, right? A couple years, we'll see you again, I'm sure.
It's
gonna be very hot.
Get a first grader who doesn't have a buddy, because I'd
Well,
like to relive the experience now that I have one up here.
Well, if you're available, you're still welcome to come in as a special guest just to see the fun event.
Oh, that's awesome.
Grilled cheese.
1:30, Papagino's Pizza. It's always a special Papagino's Pizza Day.
Nice.
What about the grilled cheese and the sandwich maker?
Well, those might be made, but the first grade parent lunch is
Papagino's
Papagino's
Pizza.
Pizza.
The air conditioners will come in handy tomorrow because it's going to be very hot. Probably the last hot day of the year.
I did hear
Bite
that
your
it
tongue,
could-
you might be
that it
cursing
could
us
be
and we're gonna
warm.
get more.
Hopefully, we can get some of those installed first thing in the morning, so at least a few more can be up and running for classrooms. I did also want to mention, so we had the summer reading incentive. The theme was on responsibility, so we had an excellent turnout. Students reading, our story was called Pigsty by Mark Teague, as well as participating in Read-a-Palooza, which is where they would log their reading minutes. And we were encouraging them to read all summer long, any book of their choice regarding any topic. And so we had a great turnout. We have some raffle baskets that we're going to be giving away on Friday to celebrate those students who did their returns for their summer reading incentive. And again, a big thanks to the PTO because they funded all of the items that are in our baskets.
Thanks. Thank you, PTO.
That's awesome. You have a great PTO.
I'm sure that the PTOs, PTAs, and booster clubs are all
That was really
Doing a
my first
wonderful
exposure
job.
to East Bridgewater, and I loved the Central PTO.
Everybody loves Central School.
Thank you, and no, they love the PTA and the boosters as well, I'm sure.
Thank you for all of your hard work.
Absolutely, and thank you for
Do a
all of
great
your-
job.
And the video was adorable that EBCAM did.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, I have to say, the highlight for me was a Mitchell School event. Andrew helping the little
Yes.
third grade, oh my God.
Very sweet.
It was, it was a moment. But they were cute.
They're very cute.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Opening day is a special day for everybody, right?
Enjoy the air conditioners.
Especially us parents
Thank-
after a long summer.
Thanks, Kate.
Vern, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Go home, Kate.
Have a good year.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Welcome, Mr. Gentile.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. Opening at the Mitchell School has been great. Very fortunate this year. We only had one teaching position to fill as a result of a retirement. We were able to do that late spring. New teacher, Molly King, sixth grade teacher, doing an outstanding job already, has seamlessly transitioned into the role. But I think for me, having been at the Mitchell School for a while, the consistency of the staff there has been huge, both in regard to addressing the initiatives that the district has set us out on, as well as just building a community in the building of people that are like-minded, value similar things, work together, collaborate. It's really been outstanding, and this year, I think one of the biggest things to credit the smooth opening was just the staff, from the administrative assistants, as Mrs. Benner said, they've been working hard resolving bus issues, getting materials in, working with parents to make sure, any information that we need or they need is getting out there. The custodians have done an amazing job. The building looks fantastic, have been very responsive to teacher needs, to the needs of the office. I can't thank those guys enough. And then obviously the teachers and staff just incredibly well prepared, motivated. They emit an energy that is very positive, and we see that, ripple throughout the classrooms, which is really encouraging for me. So great opening, thanks to, a great bunch of people that are involved, and then obviously just the families and the kids, seeing everybody back at the school, welcoming the kids back, welcoming the third graders up from Central School. It's just always such an exciting and really inspiring point of the year that sets us out on our mission. Just to get into a couple of particulars from a curriculum standpoint, this week we're starting MAP testing at the Mitchell School. This is our initial testing where we're able to establish where our students are and how we can best meet their needs, and that is true of students that are struggling and we need to help remediate some skills, as well as students who are really excelling and we need to provide opportunities for those students to continue to do so. So the MAP test will be happening over the course of the next couple of weeks. All students will take both the math and the reading MAP assessment, and then we'll be meeting with teachers to discuss the data and to set a course of action within their classrooms and/or teams. We've received the preliminary MCAS results from the spring. This is, again, preliminary information, so we're looking at it, but doing so carefully until everything is finalized. But it's a good opportunity for us to see where our students are. It helps us at this point of the year to help planning and programming for students. And then once we get the final results, we'll look at those with teachers to take a look at curriculum at various grade levels and to identify any areas where we may have needs. In the past, we were on a mission with regard to writing, which we are continuing on that mission. But I'm anxious to see the final scores and see how we've progressed in that area and if our efforts have been effective, which I anticipate they will be. Piloting new social studies materials in all grade levels this year. Couple of different programs in grades 4, 5, and 6 that we're taking a look at. The teachers, along with Jen McPartland, who's the curriculum coordinator under the direction of Dr. Williams. At the end of the school year last year, teachers were able to survey some materials and make some decisions on the ones that we were going to pilot. And this year, we'll go through the course of the year piloting those couple of different programs, sort of gauging the teachers' feelings about the programs and the effectiveness of those programs at different points of the year in hopes of making a decision in the spring as to what direction we're going to head as a building. So that's exciting, not just as a formal social studies teacher, but just whenever we have the opportunity to see new materials and potentially bring those in so that students have access to them, it's always a important and exciting opportunity.
Is there any change in focus of study, or is it just the materials and how they present it?
Over the last couple of years, the state has been rolling out some changes with regard to the social studies curriculum. So in some instances, things that people had historically taught, say, in 6th grade, may be rolling up to 7th and vice versa.
Yeah, but
Nothing huge, I wouldn't say.
Civics.
Yep, civics in the upper levels.
Civics at the lower levels too.
Yeah, in some instances, there's some of that, but there's a focus certainly, I think it's 8th grade, where it's a real primary focus. But again, we've had the opportunity, under the direction of Dr. Williams, to have not only cross-grade, but cross-building coordination and conversations about those standards. And we've even had materials with regard to both science and social studies come from the junior senior high school, and they sent them down to the Mitchell School because they were now more appropriate for our students. So we're seeing that one district mentality playing out on a regular basis, which is awesome. One other thing I wanted to mention from a curriculum standpoint, last year, one of our SROs, Talitha Connor, worked with our 6th graders, rolling out some lessons from the Botman Life Skills program, which is a program that our health and wellness teachers are utilizing, as well as the SROs. Last year, 6th graders worked with Officer Connor on a couple of different occasions, and it was kind of back-end loaded, so they kind of met with her at the end of the school year. This year, we have worked with Officer Connor, with Chief Allen, Dr. Williams, to organize the program a little bit, to make it a little bit more comprehensive, to coordinate the SROs into some of our special area classes like health and wellness and like STEAM, and sort of partner with those classes and those teachers on a basis so that students are seeing the SRO and interacting with them throughout the course of the year around a range of different topics. So we're expanding that program, which I think is not only good to give students access to the info, but certainly as they get older and they come up to the junior, senior high school, having a relationship with the school resource officers is something that I've always, thought of as a huge advantage for kids that have worked with them in the past, and that's something we certainly want to foster and appreciate Chief Allen, making those officers available to us because they're a huge support on a regular basis. Lastly, two things related to PTA. This Friday, we have our PTA pizza picnic at the Mitchell School. Last year was the first one. It was a great event. This year, the response has been fantastic. I anticipate it'll be just as great, if not better. Next Wednesday at 6:30 at the Mitchell School, we have our first PTA meeting of the year. And then just a plug for a future event during Massachusetts STEM Week on October 21st at 6 p.m. in the STEAM lab at the Mitchell School. Mrs. Cameron, who is our STEAM teacher, along with the PTA and a number of businesses in town, are organizing an event where parents and students can come in, and there'll be a number of activities, STEAM-related activities that in some instances connect to some of the industries and businesses in town to kind of show kids different things that they could do with STEAM. The theme of STEAM Week this year is See Yourself in STEAM. So it's trying to show kids outside of the STEAM lab and all the cool things that they're able to get exposed to there, how those things apply out in the community. So we're looking forward to that event. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have a lot of new students too, Andrew?
We did have quite a few move-ins over the summer. I would say between 15 and 20. I'm not sure of the exact number right now, but definitely in that range.
So are we looking at a potential for class size issues with this kind of movement if it continues?
I mean, I can just speak for my building. I am, right now, very pleased with class sizes. They do range from 3 to 6, but generally speaking, they're lower than they have been historically. I wouldn't say that with the move-ins that we've had, that they've placed a significant strain on any particular grade level where the class size has been negatively impacted.
My kids really enjoyed, or my wife and I enjoyed the open houses with 3rd and 5th grade last week, and I thought the teachers, there was a lot of energy. They were really positive, and we really appreciated that.
Thank you. Yeah, we were very well attended.
Yep.
And it's always an exciting night for everybody, and for us in particular, to be able to see families come in, and, for parents to know where their kids are all day and who they're with is certainly an important thing, but appreciate that.
I have a question about curriculum, but I won't bore the committee with this. I'll email you tomorrow, but I did have a question about the beginning of school. My wife and I were discussing, every year, the first day the kids come home, and then we spend the entire evening with all the paperwork that comes home, and which, we understand why it has to happen. I know there are districts that have moved towards paperless registration at the beginning of the year. Is that something we've considered at all here, like just a way to do our forms online, or?
And I don't know if it's done the same way at Mitchell and Central as it is here at the junior senior, where we get a printout of everything that they already have, and we just need to make changes, so.
It's glorious.
Yeah, so we should try, because it's all, I would assume it's all through School Brains.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, just with regard to that, last year, we tried to rely solely on parents going in to fill out the information within the portal. And I know, at least at Mitchell, what we found was, in some instances, the information that was previously there didn't get changed, and there maybe was some changes, or parents were unable to get in for one reason or another. So we just, as a safety net, I certainly understand having 3 of my own and the paperwork that's involved, but certainly looking at something like, for parents that are already here, here's everything we have.
Right, send home a printout,
Yep.
update anything that needs to be
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
liked that when we transitioned to that.
yeah, because we knew School Brains had that capability, so the first year that we rolled it out, we tried just strictly electronically, and we weren't getting the,
Yeah.
the people to,
Shocking.
go in, so we ended up
But do
with
you get a good
hundreds that
return
did.
on just getting the printout?
Yeah.
I know, like, I had changes and I sent it back,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, once we get them back,
And if they don't come back, it's assumed that all the
That it's
information
correct.
that's in there is, you know, up to date. So,
Thank you.
We'll certainly look at it, though. Definitely makes sense. I'm open to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Nice to see you.
Jeff? Mrs. Sylvia? Junior, senior high school.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always a difficult task to follow my colleagues, who always have some great things to say. So our beginning this year for the junior, senior high school was my first, obviously, and Mr. Bosch. But we feel that it went very well. To echo my colleagues, what they said about staff, our staff has been phenomenal, adapting to some of the new changes. Our custodial staff has been on par and above with getting furniture needed based on class sizes for classrooms, moving it as soon as they have the ability to, finding new furniture for the classrooms to accommodate our students. So our administrative staff in the offices have been phenomenal, especially with the information that's coming back, some of the changes that families are making. They are doing it diligently, along with the chaos that ensues mornings and afternoons in the offices. Our cafeteria staff has been amazing with our students, really focused on identifying some of the issues that have been occurring, which have been few and far between. They do a great job putting out a really good lunch for our students and variety of choices for them on a daily basis. As far as our teaching staff, they've been amazing. They've adapted incredibly well to the longer block periods, been able to get into classrooms the last few days, and their transitions and their activities grow exponentially every day. It's not just stand and deliver, which I think a lot of families were concerned of. It's a lot of hands-on student engagement activities, posters. It's refreshing that the compliments, as I ask kids and our students, is that the periods go by a lot faster than they realized. So that's really probably the best compliment I've received in the last couple of weeks. On the first day of school, we had we kind of had a theme for our seniors. Our last first day, we had an ice cream social, which our cafeteria staff ordered the ice cream and the toppings, and it was a great time for them. Our administrative assistant staff made a frame so the kids can take pictures. Posted a few pictures on Twitter. So that was for our seniors. Students and staff, again, the new schedule's been pretty positive overall. Last week we had all our class meetings from 7 through 12 to talk about our expectations and our standards. The basic rules, headwear, cell phones or AirPods, things like that we went over. No dramatic changes that we made for any student. We spoke to them as young adults and with total respect, and we had good feedback about some of the things that we brought up. I've been focusing on meeting or speaking to our new staff, some of the newer teachers, just to see how they're doing and if they need any help and assistance with whatever it may be, school brains, some of the standards and expectations that we have. So I've tried to stay in contact with them at least 2, 3, 4 times through email, and I always try to pop into their classrooms at least 3 or 4 times during the week. The Viking block has been an incredible asset, we feel, especially with our class presentations. We utilize the Viking block. We spilled over a little bit for a couple of the classes, the younger grades, the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, over the Viking block time that was allotted. But it really does allow us to not take away any of their academic time. So we've had a couple of organizations ask if they could do something during that 30-minute period. We have Balfour, who's going to do a ring presentation during that block coming up in October. We also have guidance who's going to utilize it for a quick meeting for the students overall to say, hey, we're going to meet with you soon. These are the things that we're going to be looking for, any paperwork that we need to pass out. Next week, we begin our map testing for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. We're going to utilize the Viking block as well for those. Again, it's a great measurement to collect data and to find you know, if we need to plan any certain help for students who are lower, or to readjust for students who have shown strength in certain areas. Next Tuesday night, our guidance department is hosting a senior parent night at 6 o'clock here in the auditorium to really go over the crux of senior year and college applications and financial aid and things like that. So they are presenting on September 17th. On September 19th, the Boston Red Sox are hosting a STEM Education Day where we've been invited with permission from our superintendent. We have several teachers bringing some students. It's an activity from 8 to noon presented by NASA representatives. So they're going to participate in several activities. We have about 40 students going. And then they get complimentary tickets to the Red Sox game that follows the activity. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's been exciting for that. On September 26th, our entire junior class is going to be visiting colleges to start that college process. Some of the universities and colleges that the guidance has put together are Bridgewater State University, UMass Boston, UMass Dartmouth, Curry College, Mass Maritime, and Stonehill College. So not necessarily that those are the choices that they have, but it gives them an idea to start visiting these campuses and getting that process started. And homecoming week begins Monday, September 30th. We have October 1st, Tuesday night, is our goal is to have our bonfire. A few of the activities that were going to take place is still being in the planning stages, but I have a meeting tomorrow with the Student Senate during the Viking block to hear what they have proposed and to encourage some of the new ideas that they have. Homecoming week culminates on Saturday, October 5th, with our homecoming dance, 6 to 9, here in the cafeteria. Again, they're thinking of a different theme this year, from what I understand. Maybe doing more of a semi-formal type theme where students can dress up. So I definitely enjoy that as well. Term 1 progress reports will be uploaded on Friday, October 4th. And most importantly for our families out there, Wednesday, October 9th will be picture day. So wanted to get that information out. So it's been a good start so far.
And about how many move-ins did you have, do you know?
It's funny when you said that. I thought, no, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm just curious.
It's something I actually wrote myself a note to check on that. So I will get back to you on that one.
I'm just curious, because I know my daughter mentioned that there were, she thought there was about 10 new in her grade.
I would say it's probably in the double-digit area. Yeah.
In your own grade?
There are a few. So, any questions at this time? I'd love to answer to my best ability.
We're going to hear from John Shea and the IT coordinator about the Chromebooks. Did you hear anything? Is there anything we should know from the principal's point of view? What's happening? Have we heard from teachers?
Well, I think what we did is, we've been working with IT for the last couple of weeks. We've had some issues for students, but we sent out an email to all parents last week just to show that we're working on it. We shared a document with all our staff to address our kids during Viking Block, any students that had an issue. Mr. Shea was great. It was a great idea by Mr. Shea in our IT department. That way, it was a live document, a Google Doc that all our teachers could type in. So they pooled their Viking Block students. They typed in what their student's name and what the issue was. So we have a better handle now on what is going on and what we need to address and prioritize as far as what we do. But I can tell you, our IT department has worked incredibly diligently. They are swarmed, not just the Viking Block, but all day long. And they're not just the building representation. They work for all the buildings. So they have a lot of projects going on, not just here at the high school, but at the other two schools as well. So I kudos to them for the amount of work they've put in and their patience with me, because I pick up the phone quite a bit, and Andrew and Josh will come down or answer, and no matter what they do, I'm probably delaying them from what they need to get done, but I do appreciate their time. So
Jeff, a few issues came up about the schedule.
Yes.
You had some classes that we did not run or
Right.
run. You've also talked about AP, we'll probably get into that later in the year. You just address some of the issues that you did come up with, that parents have asked you about, and how you're going to.
Sure. So the schedule presented a couple of obstacles over the course of the summer when we realized we had a lot of students that were without a complete schedule due to the fact that they've taken or they've exhausted most of the choices that we have for course selection. So we really needed to figure out an outside-the-box idea on how to create more sections of the courses that we do offer. So myself and guidance looked at the roster numbers for the classes, and I decided to make a choice to collapse any classes that had less than 12 students in it. And some of those classes included physics, and some of the other foreign language class was collapsed to provide more opportunities for our 7th and 8th graders for foreign language. You know, what we did is we utilized those staff members to get a second section of something they're already teaching. So it wasn't creating another prep for them, but it was an opportunity for students to instead of having a class of 35, to have, you know, separate it and have a class of 25 to 28 and a second class of about 22, 25. So I made that decision based on what we had. It was not any intention to harm any student whatsoever. It was just to utilize our resources the best possible. So we are working on trying to rectify, especially physics. We are working on different ideas to look at that dual enrollment. Dr. Williams has contacted several universities to see if there's any online enrollment that we can offer the students. We have a program, a physics program. It's not an AP physics, however, it is an honors physics program that we're offering students. We're even looking into a AP physics lab after school for students that are still looking for it. So we are doing the best we can to try to rectify some of the situations that came up that, you know, in the long run, our job is to prepare our students as best we can for their future, and we are willing to work with anyone and everyone we can to do that.
How many students are we talking about who are looking to take AP Physics or an advanced language course that had their classroom collapsed?
We're looking about 5 to 10 max students.
Throughout the school, not just
Right,
specific?
right, for the specific courses.
Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't have an advanced foreign language, but we looked at some of the foreign language classes that only had, you know, one had 11, another one had 9. So we collapsed them, but it also provided opportunities for our 7th and 8th graders to get a world cultures class. So, you know, it was kind of an important thing. And Mrs.
Is that
Clifford.
like a special?
It is, yeah. So Mrs. Clifford really, you know, I used her expertise on what are some of the things that we can offer some of these students, give our numbers more options, so.
Is it accurate to say this problem was created because we were scheduling kids under an old scheduling model before and transitioning to it created that issue? I.e., would this be an ongoing problem, or in future years would this be able to be addressed?
Oh, it's going to be addressed. I mean, I have a binder full of information that I've been taking notes over the course of the summer, and you know, our goal is to really correct these now. So next year,
We should be able to offer.
we should be, yeah, we're going to offer. We have meetings with teachers, staff. We presented ideas. You know, if they have ideas for electives, we'd like them to create the courses and work together with them on.
So we're really looking for a fix for this year, not a shift in curriculum.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And what was the driver to going to 2-term specials for 7th and 8th?
Well, the fact that we created this new schedule in the summer, and then we looked at it, it made it difficult for some of the co-op teachers who teach the high school part and the junior high school. It became a little tricky to figure out where we could slate all those students. So we felt that we were trying to align the schedule as best as we can this year, and then we're going to do it again next year. But they were on a quarter system in the junior high, where the high school's a semester, and it made it difficult for those specials teachers to be able to be
I didn't realize we had crossover, so
two-
that
two
makes a
pla-
little more
yeah,
sense
so
to
two
me.
places at once, so we decided to go semesters across the board from 7 through 12.
And do you think there'll be any more opportunities in the year to add language and/or tech ed for the 8th graders? I know a lot of parents are concerned that their kids have no tech ed or language in the whole 8th grade year.
One of the 8th grade courses is robotics, which is tech ed, falls under tech ed, and we're in the process of hiring somebody right now to,
So some kids could potentially get
yes,
switched.
yeah. So right now, the 8th grade students that have it this semester will have it, and then second semester, the other part of the students will have it as well, the robotics.
A new group of kids.
Yep. It's
Who
a sem-
obviously haven't been assigned because,
They've been assigned,
Oh,
but
they
right now, we're without a teacher. So we're working on that diligently.
so whatever your 8th grade assignment is at that point, it is what it is.
Yes. Yep, but we'll look into it. And we're constantly talking about the schedule and, again, to alleviate some of the issues that we had going this year that started, we're definitely gonna not make those same mistakes going
Well,
forward.
because one of the concerns that came up to me is and I'm one of them, so there's a little self-motivation here. But other parents as well whose kids are looking to go elsewhere in 9th grade, agricultural, Southeastern, Archbishop Williams, Spelman. And they're concerned that their kids are going in behind because they've had no exposure to language at that point as compared to West Bridgewater.
Right.
Or another district.
The World Cultures course that's created for the 7th and 8th grade will give them a little bit of taste of languages.
So has that been created and assigned yet?
Yes, that's been assigned. Same thing.
Okay, so that hasn't solved the problem with the parents that have spoken to me, because their kids are still not.
They could have it the
anything.
second semester. Those students could have it. We haven't released the second semester schedules.
Okay, so some may be
Right, mhm.
adjusted who have something now in
Right.
term 2.
Yes.
It will change.
Yeah, term 3 and 4. That's
I'm sorry.
semester. No, that's
You
okay.
know what I meant.
Yep, no, absolutely. So,
All right, that's good to
so,
know.
mhm.
Because it wasn't so much, because you're not really disadvantaged if you're staying here.
Right.
But if you're looking to go elsewhere,
Correct.
you may, especially schools that look at, like Aggie, they
Mm.
take 125 and you're done, so it's very competitive to get in.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We feel that our students are going to be competing.
Oh, I think they
Yeah.
are. I just think
Yeah.
it's the language is a little,
Correct.
I mean, they'd just be behind.
Right, and I think if the students talk to their guidance counselors about that, our guidance staff will work. We'll work with it.
But,
We'll work with it.
so Mike, with regard to the world language class, that's just a taste of Spanish and French.
It's a little bit
or
everything.
It's not like a full curriculum of like Spanish 1, for
No,
example.
no, it's not. No, it's
But
not.
we don't have that in any 8th grade, do we?
No,
Right.
no. Yep, that's still.
I actually think
that's
that
ex-
sounds more interesting.
That's
personally.
exclusive for the high school, the Spanish one.
Right.
And can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
You were talking about, college prep and that kind of stuff. Have we considered doing anything for the 8th graders, parents who are looking at Aggie Southeastern, mostly Aggie and Southeastern, in terms of communication with deadlines and stuff like that?
I will check with, I can't answer that, but I will check
Right,
with our
I'm
guidance
just throwing
department.
it out there because I know, my daughter's guidance counselor has drilled it into my head, pay attention to the dates, pay attention to the dates. I'm like, well, why can't we get a blast out or something
Yeah,
to
well,
remind people about the
I'm
dates?
trying to send out like a principal memo weekly.
Yeah, you do a nice job.
So I can add that to one of my memos. So,
I think it's around March, but.
Go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Does anybody
We
have?
also want to be careful that we're not marketing other schools.
No, I understand that, but I mean,
we don't want to lose them.
you can't compete with an agricultural high school, it's that, or,
But
Right, so we'll allow them to do their marketing piece. We won't,
I'm not saying market the school, I'm just saying alert people to the deadlines.
right.
Well, that, and people that are interested can always go to those schools' websites and check them, because I'm sure they post it on those schools' websites also.
Oh, yeah, they do.
So just along the foreign language, world languages, that is part of our review cycle for this year, along with social studies. And I know in speaking with Mrs. Sealy, the lead teacher for the foreign language department, they, as part of their curriculum review cycle, want to develop a multi-year phase-in so that we do have a full year of foreign language in the junior high, so that students could potentially be leaving with 5 years of a foreign language and working towards that biliteracy seal in graduation time. So that is long-term, but certainly something that will phase in as part of our curriculum review cycle for foreign language, so.
There's also
we are aware of
courses,
that.
there's courses in the course book that we don't offer any longer. We need to get a handle on that.
We haven't updated that in a
to-
few years, have we?
Nope, and the former
Mr. Silly.
administration didn't bring it forward, so this administration will. We also we have protocol for this. It's got to go, and once it comes from the teachers through the principal, it has to go through the assistant superintendent. If it's not going to go through the assistant superintendent, we're not running the course. Financially, we don't know what's coming, and we don't know if it's aligned with the curriculum that is, the state is offering, or telling us to do the frameworks. And the person that is the expert on that is the assistant superintendent of schools. Without her okay, and without her pushing it forward, we're driving something that might not even be part of a graduation requirement, or a course that is no longer
In the
going to be
framework,
used.
yeah.
And there was a couple things that came up like that a year ago, and unfortunately, some things were purchased, or gone in a different direction, or we did something different, and now Mr. Sylvia's got to come back around and see now where we're going to use this and how we're going to move forward with it. So,
We just started this process actually today. We are going to develop a form for staff to apply for an elective. And in one of the caveats of that form will be how does it align with the frameworks and the standards of those frameworks. And once I get those, I will forward them to Dr. Williams and Mr. Shea for their approval. Because we do have to look at the cost, the financial cost of running these courses as well. If it's an annual fee or if it's a one-time fee, we'll make those decisions. But our goal is to, by December 1st, have our program of studies updated. That is a goal that I set today, and that's more for our administrative assistants so they can send it to the print, and we have it for students ready to go by February for course selections.
I did want to tell you that your maps look great. I think it looks friendly today when the town administrator was walking around the building. We were up on the 3rd floor, and he stopped, he saw that one, and he was like, okay, I get this. And then we went to the 2nd floor, he goes, these are great, because you know where you're at, you can get out of here. So kudos to you and the staff to put those together, and they're all around the building. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's helpful for students as well, especially, the newer
It's a
students.
much friendlier atmosphere as you walk in. The tables look great. I don't know if you see the tables in the cafeteria.
They look
They just look terrific. And then today, they put up new railings that have the Viking head on it. Deb Vaughn is just doing a terrific job, and they really look nice up here, but they're going to be at Mitchell, and they'll be going at the Central, well, not so much Central, but Mitchell they will be at.
Yeah.
so.
And the
I was-
grounds look nice too, in the landscaping in that out front, the sign, I complimented the landscaper, he did a very nice job, and they're all perennial, so they'll come
Yeah,
back.
yes.
And the
He was out there
flowers.
for 2 days.
Yeah.
Right, John?
4 days, I think.
4 days.
I walk by every day now.
Yeah, they did a good job,
Yeah.
so.
I have to say, I was in the building for a teacher meeting the other day, and there was a really nice vibe, energy, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I was only here like a half hour, but there was a nice,
That's a good feeling.
I don't know what the word is, vibe, energy.
I think
Mood,
Mr.
I don't know,
Sylvia,
whatever you wanna
Mr.
call it.
Bosch have added new direction. They have certainly have gotten themselves out to meet the students. They're interacting with parents. They're out there in the morning.
They're out there every morning. I wave to you every morning.
And they are working hard.
I had a young man in a local business, and I don't want to give him away who it is by where he works, but he came up to me about a week ago and said, "You're on the school committee, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "I want to let you know how happy we all are with the new principal at the high school."
That's a nice
Really
thing.
done a great job.
Great.
So.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And as far as the vibe or the atmosphere, I really, kudos go to the students and the staff, the teachers here, all staff, custodial, cafeteria, administrative assistants. I think everyone is just focused on really our culture in this building. So as much as I would love to take the credit, it really goes out to the students and the staff here.
I think the kids feel like there's someone listening to them now.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Tim. I think you're right. I think,
And sometimes that's all that matters, like just that little bit is all the difference in the world to some of these kids.
the
thank
kids
you.
feel like they matter.
They do, every day, so that's why we're
But they
here.
hadn't felt like that. I think
thank you.
that's a big difference.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate your
Good
time.
luck.
All right, Andrew.
looking
Andrew's
forward
been
to
waiting for this, and Mr.
Very
Shea.
successful year at the high school.
Thanks.
Oh, did girls soccer win today, do you know?
Yes, they did.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna wait to pass it out. So I have a handout, but before I pass it out, I just want to talk briefly about Chromebooks, and
We do?
I haven't handed it out.
Oh, okay.
I don't want you looking at it before I talk about the numbers. Last year, we didn't do nearly enough to support students with Chromebooks. There were a lot of Chromebook issues. There were a lot of students that went a while without having replacement Chromebooks. A couple things, we didn't have enough extras on hand. Hopefully, I believe we put a dent in that this year. We purchased 80 extra Chromebooks at the beginning of the year. Secondly, we didn't have hours, dedicated hours for students to come by to the IT department. I've got 2 IT guys, they're all over the place. So with the Viking block, we'll now have one of these guys there, or me, if they can't make it, in the IT room for dedicated hours. We were taking Chromebooks and Chromebooks that had issues or needed to be fixed, and we were waiting for them to be fixed before handing them back to kids, which could have taken weeks. We stopped that process. Now, if we have a spare one, a kid will come in with a broken Chromebook, we'll give them one of our spare ones, we record it, we record the serial numbers, so it's caused a little more work in tracking, but we're getting the kids' Chromebooks quicker. One other thing, we didn't have a repair company in place to fix the Chromebooks that were broken, so we were going to ship them back to Lenovo. We worked out a deal with a company in Boston called HIQ. They are a, what's it called, dedicated
They're-
repair company for Lenovo. They do all the Boston computers. They come down now once every other week, pick them up, take them to Boston, fix them, bring them back.
And is it still warranty work? Because I know
Yeah, it's warranty work. They do warranty and non-warranty work. Some of our issues are warranted, so they'll fix them for free and bring them back. Some of them are not some of it is not warranted, like, if you saw some of the Chromebooks we get,
I'm
Smash
sure.
screen.
yeah. So they do both, warranted and non-warranted work. And secondly, I've got 2 IT guys. Last year, we had Wi-Fi issues, classroom projector problems, alarm issues, PA bell system issues, firewall issues, Apple iPad issues, classroom teacher desktop issues. We think we've got a handle on all of that now. We did a lot of work this summer. We finally found companies that actually know how to work our PA bell system. It's a system that was out of Canada. We couldn't find anyone that knew how to fix it. Our alarm system, same thing. We finally have a guy that didn't have experience with the system, but actually taught himself how to, because we can't find anyone in the area to fix.
4-year-old high school, there's people that we couldn't find people to fix.
That's the truth, is that no one paid attention
Right.
to this building as it was being built. And now we're running into problems. What do they call it, the motherboard is going to be, is obsolete, correct? Upstairs for the HVAC.
Yes.
Every time they come in to try to work it, it's obsolete, they have to wait, they're looking for parts, they go on Amazon, and they go on, I don't know, the dark web probably, to try to figure out how to get it. I mean,
Wow.
So I came up with some of the issues looking back and reflecting, and it was Andrew's first year, and So we think we've got a good handle on some of the things we need to fix. The other things, I don't want you to think they're excuses, because they're not excuses. Kids should have Chromebooks, shouldn't go without Chromebooks. So we've instilled that in Andrew, Josh, and myself this year, and I think we're in good shape.
Do you think we need another part-time or full-time IT person?
We could talk about that. We've got Andrew, who pretty much handles everything, but servers, our MDF closet, switches, all the high-tech stuff. And then we've got Josh. We've got Chromebooks, and every kid in this school has a Chromebook. Every teacher has a desktop. Every teacher has a projector.
Need to be able to support them.
John, just real quick, what percentage of the Chromebooks would you say are failing? I mean, if we
I
have,
think he
I
had
have some numbers. That's why
We're gonna
I wanted to
pass
talk first before I handed out the numbers.
We are putting a 5-year personnel plan together that it will address some of these issues. But, to John's, or to the thought process of all of us, we wish that we could have the finances and the supports to add another principal in every building, or assistant principal, another IT person in every building, more social workers in every building, more this, more that. We're at the point now that we're starting to expand. I think we've got a good hold on things. It took us a few years to get here. We're here now. Now we can start to really grow and say, what is the necessity? What do we go through next? And looking at a personnel plan, the principals are doing what they need and their needs. They're coming up with that. In our next meeting, we'll be discussing that. And John and I and Dr. Williams are starting to sit down and start to talk, what do we need to support students, faculty, IT, facilities? So.
And John, I just want to comment that I think everything that you shared is just a good example of how receptive and open administration is when concerns or frustrations are brought in an appropriate way. I think that when questions and concerns were raised, the response was immediate. I asked for different things, and I have lots of questions which, probably will be answered with your numbers, but thank you for, I just think that this is a good demonstration, because I think there's some negativity out there that, administration doesn't care, or they don't listen, or they're not willing to take the time. You've recognized there was an issue due to many things, no excuses, and the problem's gonna be worked on and resolved. And I had one happy kid come home today. I got a new Chromebook today, and I can, use it without it being plugged in, and I think the message is there that administration is willing and wanting to, to help.
Yeah, well, I mean, my son came to me, he's a sophomore, came to me last week, he said, "You ever gonna get me a new Chromebook? This one doesn't work unless it's plugged in." I said, "How long has it been like that?" He said, 6 months. So communicate, and he never said anything to anybody. So communication has to work both ways. We have to open up the lines of communication, make it easier to communicate.
John, just to add on that we, and of course, coming from Andrew, who's the expert in this, we had Lenovo Chromebooks. There was a combustible problem with it. We litigated out. Our attorneys have kept us in there and said we have to use their warranty. As seniors graduate, if the IT department says, you've had it for 2 or 3 years, you can take it home with you, or whatever we decide to do as a group, because some of them may be obsolete in a couple of years. As they buy new ones, they're Hewlett Packards. We're going to move away from Lenovo. So as we have this process of going through, they're new computers, but again, we spent $250,000 4 years ago on Lenovo's. They caught fire, a couple. We sent them back. We went through litigation. We are now here. We're using their warranty to fix them. We're switching companies. I think we have a better product. However, trying to do what we have to do to.
Okay, that was one of my questions, so that's already a fix in place.
That's the new computers that we buy, the 80 are Hewlett Packards, HPs, and they have a system for that.
Okay, I'll hit this out.
You're gonna let Andrew speak to the battery thing? Or are you gonna,
Andrew can speak to these
Oh.
numbers.
I didn't know if he was speaking to the battery.
So this is a list of questions that were posed to us. And
So I can answer these questions. So for the first one, the total number of Luna Chromebooks on hand, and obviously, and if they're in working order, after today, currently, we have 25. An additional 40 will be ready to go Friday, this Friday, so September 13th, and then 80 additional on Wednesday, September 25th. For
And that's just because you have to set them up or configure them or whatever.
correct, which actually is that is a very short process. That doesn't take any time at all. It's more or less like he said, the company in Boston. It's a 2-week turnaround time. So once we know and we have the ones that need to be repaired via warranty, we send them on their way and we wait.
So Andrew, if I read this correctly, so it's 145 total number of loaner Chromebooks that we have. What's our total number of loaner Chromebooks?
that's a good number, 145.
Okay.
For the second question, I haven't had the time at the moment to go through the database in regards to what students bring their own device. And typically the only problems that they'll rarely run into is anything in regards to map testing or MCAS testing, which is why it's important for us to have, say, 25 always in the IT suite for when those specific students need to do the testing that day.
Okay. But another question I had in regard to that, which obviously around standardized testing and that they need a district-issued Chromebook. But is it fair to say that if it's a personal Chromebook, obviously the IT can't, I guess, monitor the software or as closely monitor what they're doing on their Chromebook?
Correct.
So that's from a parent perspective, if you have this population of kids who have their own Chromebooks, they may be a detriment to themselves in the classroom or others around them, depending on, how the class is set up, if they have their own Chromebook and have access to other apps and such that other kids don't. I don't know how you can completely mitigate that, but that is just a thought that I had.
Are they using their own Chromebooks because their school-issued one was non-functional or whatever, or are they just using them to use them, or do you know?
So
It could be both. I know when we were handing them out, kids came down and said they didn't need a Chromebook because they had their own, so.
So that can be monitored the same way we monitor phones and other electronics in school? I mean, is that something we could just say, you can't bring your own Chromebook in because we have a need to use the school issue?
I think during the testing
Right.
part, their Chromebooks are not gonna be able to be used.
Right.
Correct.
Well, but to Trista's point, if
Right.
we can't secure the ones they use into our standards, do we want to allow them to be?
Let me check with our company, Go Guardian, to see if there's a way that they can, we can add them to the Go Guardian monitoring system. And if that's the case, then that should, if that's the case, then I think that should.
Sure, that was just
Talking
something I
about
was,
like web access and things like that?
Go Guardian is a filtering system. So we've got the firewall, and we've got Go Guardian. It filters, gambling, sites that kids shouldn't be using.
Any device that accesses the school internet would be subject to that, right?
No, only our Chromebooks.
Anything on the network here would hit the firewall. So Go Guardian is just a second content filter that follows the firewall.
Gotcha.
Yeah, any device any device will go through the firewall, but Go Guardian.
My phone would hit the firewall, but not use the Go Guardian.
Correct.
as the- Okay, I got it.
And the Go Guardians are even when they're using them at home.
Yes.
So I will find out from Go Guardian, and if they cannot do that, then I guess it's a decision the school committee will have to make. If they can't do it, I'll find out what other schools are doing.
I have a question. So is there any issue with regard to viruses? If someone uses their own Chromebook or laptop or whatever they use?
Typically, Chromebooks aren't susceptible to them. They can get them, but, I mean, it's pretty difficult on it. And
But it could happen.
yes.
I think too, that we have to remember, it's just like the phones. That's an uphill battle. That's something for us just, we'll be policing it once again. Let's look into Go Guardian and let's, take the right, we want I think the biggest thing is we want every student to have a device in their hand so that they have the support that they need. The apps that we buy, that we're afforded for curriculum purposes, I think you got one for science, one for chemistry, I believe it is.
They're mostly web-based.
We're not downloading that on anybody's unless it's ours. So if you're in a classroom, you need the Chromebook. And I do see kids saying that, but I've seen a lot of kids, they might have theirs, but not a lot. A lot of them are coming and saying, I'll take one now,
How many kids are we talking about here using their own Chromebooks?
Well, we
Not
don't
many.
know.
Not many.
Roughly, I mean.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's an upward battle, whereas we need to say, let's get our Chromebooks here. And I think that these guys have a good,
We're not talking about 50 kids here or anything.
No.
Can't be, yeah.
I think these guys have a good operation now, moving, so. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
So the third question was how many students currently in their possession have a Chromebook but do not work at all, and from our numbers of everything we did today is 9.
So are we swapping those out?
That's the plan.
Yeah.
With
Typically,
the 65 that we have,
Yeah.
we'll have by Friday. We plan on swapping those out.
And we know who those kids are.
We know who those kids are. If they responded to the teacher during the survey, during Viking Block, we know who they are.
The fourth question, how many students have Chromebooks that must be plugged into an electrical in order to work? And that's currently 52.
And do they have access to that outlet in a classroom?
At the moment, I believe the teachers have surge protectors.
So they can do it in the
Yes, correct,
classroom.
yes. So they'll sit on the outskirts,
Yeah.
and if need be, they'll use a surge protector.
But I do want to make a comment, just a general comment, for an example, which Zach does have a new Chromebook, but the other day in class, he was in class and he had to do something, and he had to go move where he was to go plug his Chromebook in and answer a question, and then the teacher called him back to sit in the rest of the class, and then towards the end, he had to answer another question, so he had to move to go sit by the outlet. It's fine, he could deal. I don't really, he's a diligent student, so there was no real concern in that regard. But when it was towards the end of the class, and he said to the teacher, can I just answer the question on my phone, because it'll be quicker, the bell's gonna ring. He's a freshman, he's getting used to, going from class to class with a new schedule. And he took out his phone, was answering the question, and the teacher said, you can't use your phone in class. So I think the teacher was just distracted, which is understandable, but my concern around this, and I know it's being remedied, if you have a child, on an IEP who should be in the front of the class, or a kid who's easily distracted and can't juggle that, that's why it's important that, they're not plugging in and unplugging and.
Right, that was exactly my point when I said it was distracting. For some kids, that would blow up their whole day.
Yeah, so.
And then finally, the fifth one is how many Chromebooks are currently at IT for repair and what are the issues? So right now, we currently have 120, and they're, obviously, as you know, half are the charging issue and half are physically damaged screens.
Can I ask a question on how long should a Chromebook charge last, roughly? In other words, how do you know if you have a charging issue? It should get you through the day on a charge, right?
Most of our charging issues are, they won't work unless they're plugged in.
See, like ours is dying really fast.
So that's
So I have to
just-
send the plug.
That's just, it's a lithium battery, right? So over time, you just degrade the life the longer you keep it charged in. So like maintenance to yourself, like hygiene, it's the same thing as if you have an electronic device. I mean, charge it till it's full, but you don't want to overcharge it because that,
Oh,
lithium
God.
heats up
I'm lucky I
constantly.
remember to charge the damn thing.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a time, like, and once it hits a certain
And
percentage,
like on the weekend, I let it die and then charge it again.
Yeah, so that's not
But it
good.
doesn't seem to be still holding the charge.
Right, and so that's not good because you can't, with lithium, you can't let it completely die and you can't overcharge it, right? So,
Oh, well, that's good to know.
yeah, it's more
Andrew,
or less just.
address the battery issue. Because that's what everybody wants to know. Why are we plugging them in? What's wrong with the batteries? Where are
Yeah,
we going
so
with this?
there's the picture of the Lenovo motherboard here, and the middle, so you can see the three. The middle one is what the battery's connected to, and just like, you know, non-maliciously or anything else, it's just how it was manufactured is that, the wear and tear and the utilization of the Chromebooks, it just unclips.
So what the company does that we send them to, they open it up, they push the plug back together, close it up and send it back to
So it's faulty,
Oh, so it's this.
Yeah.
faulty product.
And it's just, you know,
Andrew,
If
what do you?
if you're talking to Lenovo, it's not a faulty product. It's the fact that our kids are throwing them in their backpacks and not handling them well, so it's coming unplugged.
Isn't that what it's designed for? I mean, there is some
Andrew,
reality.
Andrew,
check
you're an
here.
IT expert. What do you think it is?
yeah, so it's on them, essentially, right? It's always gonna be a little of both, but these Chromebooks, they're not really made well for a student. Like, the more educational grade ones now are lined in like rubber, and they're drop tested from, you know, certain, and it like hundreds of times.
And what manufacturers are making those?
Pretty much everyone.
Oh, so
Dell,
Lenovo is doing it too,
HP,
it's just not these ones that we have.
These specific ones are
Okay,
just,
gotcha.
But that's why we moved to HP.
Yeah.
So the new ones that'll be in and.
So John,
Well, we had talked about that during the litigation phase.
John, just two quick questions from me. I know based on this number, we have a total of 145 loaners.
Yes.
Do you feel that there's a need or reason to have more than 145, knowing that as the Lenovos are aging out, we're going to HP, which sounds like it's a better product?
I think if the school committee feels fit, is that the word?
He's fit.
Would like to ensure that that we don't have any issues going forward.
Meaning all students have a Chromebook in their hand.
All students have a Chromebook and they have one the same day as they turn one in. I think it may make sense if you vote to purchase an additional 50 Chromebooks, and we could use school choice money for that.
Okay.
We could make that motion now.
That was my question when this all started, is with the balances we're carrying on school choice right now, why are we even
Right.
discussing this?
Right, but we
I
bring
get
it
you.
to you
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But I think we have to
Permission.
know.
No, I didn't mean.
I think this is a perfect,
And they would be HP.
Perfect.
When we have
use.
our business meeting, could you bring us the pricing and the motion to do that?
I can do it now if you want.
I'd like to make a motion.
Do you have it now?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, well, that's a different
I can tell you right
story.
off my head right now.
Go for
Each
it.
of the HP Chromebooks at this time costs 184 a piece for the specific model we get, and a Google license costs $24.
184 is not bad.
Yep,
Plus
and a
24.
Google license is $24.
So 208,
That's
5
not
2s are
bad.
10, so you're looking at $11,000 round numbers. And we have what,
Plus,
160 in school choice? No, 5 something in school choice. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of athletics, I think.
So if you want to do a motion,
I make a motion to purchase 50 additional HP Chromebooks. Is that what you call them?
microphone.
Oh,
Is
that how we do
sounded
motions
in
now?
everyone's ear.
With the funding source being school choice
Yes.
funds.
A second.
second by, so I made the motion, second by Tim. Any discussion?
Yes. So if we take whatever that number is out of
School choice.
school choice, we're still okay. Not an issue.
You're funny, Gordon.
There's $500,000 in there, Gordon.
I'm just checking.
I have a question too. From the time that we appropriate the money, what's the time to the laptops are?
We can get the shipping expedited and get them
Same
here
day.
tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow.
Probably in like.
Monday.
If they,
That's a little
Thursday
ambitious.
or
How long does it take you guys to
By
get them?
Tuesday?
Figured or whatever the
Probably,
heck.
yeah. Probably by Tuesday, we would see another 50 Chromebooks.
They're already here, she was gonna return
did
them.
not sit down 3 hours.
No
So,
problem
Ed-
with
So
the
if this
school
goes
choice
through,
money for that.
essentially-
I guess that was a better way of answering.
No.
Any
So-
further discussion?
I have something. I'm super pumped to support this. But back to the conversation that we had when Erin was last here, before school ended for the year. Can we get, at the end of this year or at some point, some kind of measure of the success of our Chromebook project in terms of academic improvement, success, whatever that measure is? I think we talked, when Erin was here, we were talking about it.
You just revisit this report and you would readjust the numbers and hopefully.
But yes, Teresa, I understand that question. Yeah,
So
this was more of a
the academic
facilities.
benefits
Yes.
to using Chromebooks as opposed to
Well, just are we seeing, at least stability
How
of
much
grades
time-
or improvement in grades?
How much time we use on the Chromebook compared to?
Right, are kids retaining as much? Because
What
some
else?
studies say that they don't retain as much when they read it electronically. Some studies, and I think it's very kid-dependent, too.
Tim, you might miss the vote.
Andrew, I can wait till we vote, but I do have one more question very specific to this. Do you want me to hold it or ask it now?
No, yeah.
Does it pertain to this? Go ahead.
So when a student
discussion.
turns in their Chromebook for repair, and they get a loaner, when their original Chromebook is repaired, do they get that back, or do they? Oh, okay.
Keep the loaner.
They keep the loaners.
So it's not really a loaner.
Exactly, but I guess my question is, and maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but I know that some kids are respectful of their property and other kids are not. Some kids deliberately don't care and will intently try to destroy it. I mean,
So
Andrew's got this.
You got that one down.
For it.
well, the boys will come home and say there are certain kids that are trying to destroy their Chromebooks. So,
There are some students in school that we don't allow them to take home.
but even to that point, so for example, if one of my boys gets a loaner Chromebook, which is now their Chromebook, and it's repaired, but it belonged to a kid who maybe wasn't as willfully destructive as someone else, but was probably more irresponsible than the average kid. In my opinion, like as a consumer, I wouldn't buy a refurbished anything as an electronic in my home, just because I feel like you don't know what the previous owner did, and how long is that refurbished one gonna last? And am I gonna end up potentially paying $99 for repair that was kind of in the works because someone else had it? Does that make sense? Or is that just
yeah.
going too, am I overthinking
I
it?
think I don't want to see overthinking.
It's okay, John.
I think if you saw some of the damages we have from, it's pretty evident that the students are trying to
Yeah.
damage the Chromebooks. I think for the most part, if it's damaged, it's going to be damaged and we're not going to hand it out. It either has a screen issue or a keypad issue or.
There's a big difference between the casing on the corner cracking and falling off and just the whole half the plastic being off. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's.
And we're pretty, when we get a damaged Chromebook, it's pretty much the ones that we know the student damaged it on purpose that we'll send out a bill for.
Okay, so it kind of gets a good,
Yeah.
okay.
And then we'll take pictures of it, we'll send the pictures and a letter to the parents saying, this is your son or daughter's Chromebook, here's the bill.
I have a really quick question. So, do we already have any of these HP Chromebooks or laptops? So you've already used them, you
Jack
know?
got one today.
An HP?
Yep.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah, we're
So-
not buying any more Lenovo, so as they come offline, we have HP going out. So you're gonna buy 50 HPs tomorrow morning.
I'm excited.
That are gonna be arriving Tuesday.
I think it's great.
That
Or
might
more.
already be
We haven't-
upstairs in
we
the
haven't
office.
said yes
that We
yet.
just haven't
So-
paid a bill for.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank
Mrs.
you.
Aylward,
This was a really
Is there
good
anything we missed?
Thank you, Andrew, for all of that.
Just pretty much covered it all. We had pretty much the same questions and numbers and resolutions, and it sounds like a much better solution going forward. My only other thing, which Trista was kind of touching on, is accountability of the user. So, for example, Cal did finally get a new one, and it doesn't say charge plugged in. That was me, huh?
No, my microphone.
The one he just got yesterday.
The one we just got, yeah. So, and I understand the whole plug issue and everything, and
Now, so if Cal isn't on the list of students with Chromebook
when was the
problems,
no, he got a new one.
today,
And then-
Cal Basile.
Hmm?
Is his name Cal Basile?
Oh, Cal.
no, I was handing them out, so Cal wasn't one of the ones that got a new one today.
Not today.
No, he had it for a day, and then it no longer holds a charge. It has to be plugged in. So you deemed it as a good Chromebook. He was out without one for 75% of the year last year. You gave him one. Then he couldn't use it in his finals. I mean, I gave him one of my laptop. Couldn't use it in his finals because it wasn't a school-issued Chromebook. You gave him one from your office. He used that for finals. That broke before the end of the year, between getting it for finals and the end of the year. So then he went the whole summer, he didn't have one. He comes to school. After all of this comes up, couple days, Wednesday he gets one. Within a day, it already doesn't work.
Wednesday last week.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him since.
No, so he's doing the whole plug thing like everybody else in
Yeah.
the classroom now. He's walking over and, plugging in, they're all conjugating around the outlets. But this is, this makes me very happy. I just think that, and I know, you said that no excuses, this is what happened. I just hope going forward there's more recording and there's more communication like this Viking period, because when you say these numbers about how many people are currently using their own issued Chromebook and you say that it's not a lot, it's a lot.
Oh, I never said it wasn't a lot. I think one is a lot.
Well, somebody just said, not double digits or something like that. Oh, I mean, I just posed a question out on a class of 2021 Facebook page, if anybody was experiencing the same issues as I was, just so I could have an idea of the numbers when I came to present, my information. And within minutes, Trista saw it, she's class of 2021 as well. Within minutes, 10 people out there. Oh, I just gave up last year, I have my own, I buy my own power cords, I do this. Now that's just one small group, there's not a lot of people on that page. That's just one small group and you're looking at 10 already. So I can imagine, 7th, 8th, and all the way through that it's a bigger issue. And I don't know if these numbers would even be enough to replace the kids that are currently using their own mechanisms.
I hear what you're saying. I think the conversation we were saying, we don't want to say, stop. I think how it came across was we're not going to come up with a policy on that. We've got to figure out if this is another capital project in the spring, how do we get this in the budget and what do we need to do? That's where it comes from me. If I don't know the issues, like I say, if I don't know about them, I'm hearing about them more now than I've ever heard about them. When the computer smoked, that's when it came to me and I said, okay, we got to do something. We litigated. This is becoming an issue because whatever we got from Lenovo, I don't believe was the right product. I'm still under that assumption. I have an IT person that agrees with me. So we're trying to, have 145 HPs right now. 145, John? 175 or 130 HPs that are here. Going to get another 50, we'll be over 200. We'll keep moving in that direction. On the instructional piece that I leaned over to Dr. Williams about was, we need to remind ourselves, again, that we're educators. Our teachers need to remind themselves that they are educators. And I will make, Dr. Williams, we just talked about this, we're just going to make note of it and speak to Mr. Sylvia in the morning, that we're going to remind ourselves, if it's not working and the student has a phone, allow the student to use the phone. If you got 15 kids over there, having them come back to a seat and move, we're facilitators. That's what we do in the classroom. Not everybody learns the same way. Not everybody looks the same way. Let them learn in their realm and let them move around. We heard from Mr. Sylvia today. I heard it from students because I've been asking, how's the schedule? What's going on? How do you think this is? And the kids are telling me, teachers are walking around more. There's more facilitation. I'm not getting more of this. So that's something, though, that I am going to address because I've heard it 3 or 4 times. For this evening, just from you.
We hope that too many kids won't need to use their phones. We hope that they'll have a Chromebook.
No, that's not what I've heard. I've heard that teachers are not allowing things or having people go from one desk to another. If my microphone's not working and I get up to go use that microphone over there, what's the difference if everybody can hear me across over there?
Right.
That's called universal design. That's what we're working on this year, is that kids learn differently. You don't have to teach the same way. It's not always the same book. It doesn't have to look the same way. We need to change. And maybe this is a catalyst to change. Chromebooks aren't working. Let's figure it out. Kate Byrne came in tonight. It's a luxury to have a refrigerator in your room. It's not a teaching tool. A Google Chromebook, a HP Chromebook is beautiful. They are luxuries. We didn't have them when we went to school, and we sit here. Because there could be a day next week that there is no power, there is no Wi-Fi, there is nothing. And Dr. Williams is going to go have to teach. And she's going to have to figure out how to do it without a Google Chromebook and without a whiteboard and without all these other things in front and say, let's have a lesson in this. That upsets me more than hearing that kids don't have Chromebooks. That upsets me more that our instructors are saying, well, you got to get over here because I got to hear the question. What's the difference? I'll take care of that issue. John will take care of the tech issue, and we'll make sure that kids have, and the school committee will make sure that we have Chromebooks coming back, whether it's 50 next week or 250 for budget time, or whatever it comes up to be.
And Cal needs a new Chromebook again, right?
So he needs to come and see
Viking block.
the Viking block tomorrow, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent and John Shea.
Thank you, Andrew.
And
Nice
Andrew.
job, Andrew.
tough.
Thank you.
It was a wealth of information.
Good job. Tomorrow, 6:30, Andrew.
No rest for the weary.
He'll grab a cookie though on his way.
They'll give you till 6:45 days later.
He has some water and a couple cookies on the way. Go ahead.
So next up on the agenda, I'm going to go to school committee operating protocols. I'm going out of order. So the school committee operating protocols is something that we have to review every single year and vote on every single year. So has everyone had a chance to review them?
Were there any changes, Ellen?
No changes.
It didn't look like it was.
Nope, no changes.
Motion to approve.
Well, before we do
sorry.
that, I just wanted to go over a couple of points of interest. So I just want to make note, as a reminder to everyone, that the superintendent is the official spokesperson of the district, and the school committee chair and/or his or her designee shall have the authority to speak for the school committee or other public bodies, the media, or individuals who reach out to the body as a whole. Outside of school committee meetings, school committee members will speak as individuals and not for the committee, except when reporting on a decision of the majority of the school committee. And we will recognize a single official voice of the board. And was there anything, anybody had any questions on about these?
I had a couple. We conduct the meeting under Robert's Rules of Order. I think it's a good idea that we spend a little time at some point in time and either come up with a resource, and we don't have to have the whole book, but just an outline. I know I printed out an outline offline today, just to kind of get an idea, because I'm not versed as well as I should be in it, what the protocols are, what the, how to really operate within those strict rules. So I think, that should be part of
We
all of our
talked about it a
training.
little bit at the workshop.
Yeah, but I don't think we went into how it
Into
works.
depth, in
Yeah.
depth.
How to make a motion, how to, the discussion that follows, all of that stuff that.
We could
it
have a
should-
workshop on it.
Yeah, or at least come up with a resource and just so that we can have something to refer to.
I'm sure there's gotta be a summary around. I know
Yeah.
Well, they
when I was
they
in
have quick
grade two, there
reference
used to be
guides.
like a small book version.
Yeah, and they have like quick reference guides.
Yeah,
Like, that would be good. I don't think we need to have a whole worksheet stuff on
No.
it, but that would be good.
but like, so his Robert Rules of Order cheat sheet happened to be right here. So, like, if we
Yep.
all had one that it was laminated or something, and now that we have notebooks, you just keep it in the front of it and just say, oh, by the way, wait a minute, you can't do that in that order or something.
You just
so
want to
we
call
have-
everybody
Did you
out.
get that?
I don't want to call anybody out, Trista. He's always making trouble for me. So that was one. The other thing I think that we need to do
a better job. I know we introduced it last year, the concept of a yearly agenda, at least key points to it. I think there's more
That-
work to be done with that.
So the yearly agenda hasn't come out yet.
Good,
It's
okay.
supposed to come out, so I talked to Barbara, we've been swamped at the beginning of the school year. Well, I don't say we, I mean like the central office. So the,
You're feeling the
You
pain,
think?
that's good.
You
oh
think?
yeah, I just feel the pain. I've been staying away. So, it hasn't been done yet, but that was due to
Oh,
the
good.
central office being swamped.
Okay,
So that's coming.
great, thank you. I think those are all the notes I had.
Anybody else? So, I would make a motion to accept our operating protocols.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Trista, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And, so at the end of the meeting, we can just sign
It
them.
was the signed version, just Joanne have it.
Yeah, and,
You have it.
I haven't. And then also, moving on just to open meeting law, so I just wanted to remind everyone to please not reply all, because it's a violation of open meeting law, and please don't send emails to everyone on the committee, just send an email to either Liz or myself, the superintendent or myself. Because when you send an email to everyone, it's a violation of open meeting law, it can cause dialogue or whatever, so that's it. And then we have the new DESI superintendent evaluation model. That is something that I talked to the superintendent about, and we had to wait because it didn't come out until after August 15th, or on August 15th, so I wanted to bring that to you all, to have you take a look at it. If you think we need to have a workshop to have them go over this new pilot version of the new it's the new DESI model, it's a pilot for this year. So superintendent, I'm gonna let you discuss it.
Meaning it's optional to use, or?
It is
You
optional.
have to use it, but
It's optional.
It's optional this year. I would say, sitting in the meeting at the MASS Summer Institute, one of probably 30 superintendents, and usually don't see that, they'll go with us. Most everybody's going to, it's much easier.
it looks better, but
It's-
I haven't studied it,
it's-
in fairness.
Well, I mean, it gives you examples. It's easier for you to, for you to understand what happens in the superintendent's life. It gives you examples of what is unsatisfactory, what is an improvement, what goals are you looking at. I think it's an easier rubric to follow, if you've gone through it.
we
I was
could-
there, Dorothy Presser was there from MASC, Desi was there, and I sat with many superintendents, and they were like, this is 10 times better.
And I actually spoke to Dorothy Presser about this too, and she is for districts that want, she would come and do a workshop on it if you all wanted her to.
I think that's a great idea. I also noticed in the bulletin, they also mentioned that there's a video, how to use it, so it's got to be a good background for us to have, but definitely have a workshop. I think, just in a general sense, this should be, whether it's this format or whatever we're going to be using, probably this format, should be also part of that orientation process for any new school committee members. One of our key responsibilities is to evaluate the superintendent. Well, if you don't have any clue as to how that works, then it's not fair to Liz, and not fair to us, that, it's not fair to that person sitting on the board. And to me, if you're gonna do an evaluation of anybody, and most assuredly the superintendent, it should be a valuable experience, particularly for Liz and for us to share that. It's just not check the box and move on kind of thing. So I think it's really valuable and certainly worthwhile of a workshop, and absolutely should be incorporated into the orientation process when anyone new joins the committee. Because it's such a unique situation. None of us have probably evaluated a superintendent before we got on the board, so.
Have you done your goals for 1920 yet?
We've just,
I
I put them down, we just haven't had that meeting.
I didn't think it happened, that's why I was asking, I wasn't sure.
We have not, because we were waiting
On this.
to bring this up. So,
This is just, I mean, if you've gone through them and you go look at the standards and the indicators, it's just 10, it's
This
exact,
looks way easier than
Yeah.
that last crazy thing we've had.
I think it's
So,
better.
is-
Shows, you know,
everyone available on a night? Would you rather have a nighttime workshop or a Saturday morning workshop?
Nighttime.
Nighttime?
Soccer every Saturday morning. That's just me, though.
Can we wait till October, though?
Yep,
No.
Can we get out of September?
yep,
Got a lot going on
I
right
think October's great.
Can I actually propose something?
Sure.
Do we have business at our next scheduled meeting that can't be pushed off till the following meeting? I mean, we're gonna meet in 2 weeks anyway.
I mean, what?
So we meet every
Well,
other
I
week.
have to call Dorothy and ask her what nights she's available.
Oh,
So
I was just saying, one of our regularly scheduled nights anyway. could
do it in
be
here.
the- or maybe
Right,
the
you
first
start
one-
a little earlier.
Maybe just the first one in October, and that's the workshop instead of a regular business that we do, and we just.
I just have to check with Dorothy.
Whatever you want. Just want to give you an update on as you know, we have a signed MOU with the EBEA. We are waiting on them at this time for their meeting with their association to hopefully ratify their contract. When we do that, I will immediately brief you and let you know where we're at on that, and then we will call a school committee meeting, a very quick turnaround on that. And the reason being is because we need to have both signatures, both of the EBEA. We also need your signature. We'll have a selectman here that evening. Both attorneys will be present at that meeting. Once it is signed, then it can go to the town and recognized by the town so that we can move in the direction of, no.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Liz, can I swing after?
Yeah,
I have
I
a
have
meeting
your
at the
stuff.
building
Yep.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and I
Like
have,
1:30-ish?
you can come up right now. I have your stuff for you.
Oh, okay. Because I'm gonna be in the building tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you. So moving on to the next item. I would take a motion to accept the school committee meeting minutes from August 26, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Gordon.
Second.
Second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
That was not unanimous. It was one abstention. It was Tim, and everyone else said yes. Action is required, let's see, sorry. I would take a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 9S as in Sam, V as in Victor, dated August 28th, 2019, and 11SV dated November 11th, September 11th, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by, who said that?
I said that.
Second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous.
Joanne, the actual invoice warrant says 9/5 on it, but it's 9/11 is what the date it should be, or will be, or, it doesn't matter. It's
No,
gonna
it
be the
says
same
effective
thing,
date 9/11. It says post date 9/5, effective date 9/11.
So the post date is when I enter it, and then it should say the effective date as well.
The right corner, Gordon,
I'm having
11
my-
SB.
I'm having my secretary review it.
Right here, effective date, right there.
Thank you very much. I've learned something. Sorry.
Thanks, Gordon, for pointing that out. I would take a motion to approve payroll warrant 10PS dated September 3rd, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Gordon. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. And I would take a motion to approve the sale of surplus desks and chairs from the Gordon W. Mitchell School. And I know Mr. Shea wanted to make a comment about this.
So,
Actually, I would remove, I'm going to take my motion back because Mr. Shea had something to say about it.
so we have desk chairs that are at the middle school. They've been there years. We'd like to surplus them. We'd like to have permission from the school committee to surplus them. The surplus process we would follow, we don't have a policy on.
So you're gonna get one, right, John?
So I think we need a policy, so I'm going to hold off on surplusing, asking you permission to surplus until I put together a policy, because 30B regulations for procurement require a policy. And I looked around at other schools' websites, and a lot of schools around here don't have policies, but there are some that do, and they're very simple policies. So I know there's a policy meeting coming up, and I talked to Ellen, and I'll have
Just have to
something.
reschedule it.
I'll have something for that.
I thought there was something in the policy about reselling
It was MASC DN, and I couldn't find anything in our,
Well, I'm not having a good night, so maybe I'm not.
there isn't anything online, and there wasn't anything in our policy book, so.
Right, it's probably just in my head.
That was last year, at the end of the, last year, yeah, we just voted for it, we voted it. Yeah, we just voted it.
Same thing?
It was a procedure, I guess.
Is that considered surplus though?
No, probably just getting rid of the old stuff.
Right, I don't know if there's a difference.
These are things more than likely we'll be throwing away, but we have to go through certain steps
It could be
Right.
a bonfire on
according to legal.
We'll
There we go. When is it? October?
first.
So, before I forget, I would like to thank EBCAM for always televising and recording our meetings. I forgot to do that at the beginning. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You do a great job. Does anyone have anything else?
Do we need a motion to table that action item, or can we just leave
I
it?
just tabled it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I just tabled it. I don't think I need to motion it.
I don't know, that's why I was asking.
Let me look it up in Robert's rules.
Come on, Gordon, get on that.
I don't think I need to motion. So unless anybody has anything else, I would make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Moved by Tim,
Second.
second by Gordon, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Oh my God, I'm freezing.
Alan, you working Snack Shack again Friday night?
I am.